All right. Good morning. Happy faces. So, we are going to be wrapping up with the part five of this beautiful series about raising your standards, how you can make these things happen, and how you can make it even easier, especially if you've been following along. If you have not been following along, I'm Vernon Brown, the happiness coach, and I'm helping you be happy with Happy Meals daily, giving you lots of information, tips, and strategies that can help you get freed up because it's all about taking you from stuck to happy as beep. You already know. So with the Happy Meals, we're all about helping a million people lose their first 10 pounds. But now we got that out the way. If you've been following along, it is about raising your standards. And if you haven't, thank you for being here. We want you to go back and listen to the first four parts. I keep these short, sweet, and I also make them impactful, but very intentional. And part five, I touched on this a little bit, I believe, on Tuesday. But what I want you all to really sit back and remember and to think about this at some point when you're raising your standards, at some point when you have different strategies that you're working on implementing that I've been talking about, and maybe you picked up some others from other people, because I know I'm not the only person who has a way of getting there. It's not the path that I'm after, it's more so the result, the outcome, that end game. But one of the best strategies, and this one is, it hits you in your mouth. So I do want to let you know that, I'm about to give you a little warning about this. When you want to raise your standards, sure, there's lots of strategies, sure, there's lots of ways you can go about doing things. But at some point, the real person shows up. At some point, the real person has to show up if he or she has not. At some point, the strategies, are always there to kind of give you some support. It's like having, if you have a three-legged chair, now you get to have a fourth leg with the strategies. But at some point, you have to stand up on your own. There's just no way around it. And you literally have to say, I'm worth it. So part five is about you've got to get so serious about what you want. You got to get so focused on getting it, because the strategies aren't going to always be there, because sometimes you're not going to have that time to get your mind right. Sometimes you're not going to have the support and be in the right environment. Sometimes you're not going to be able to say, hey, let me hang out with this person and they can help me level up my strategies. Because when it's all said and done, and I talked about this, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And then, I'm kind of hinting at this, but a more direct way is you have got to get serious about this. There's no two ways around it. You got to get so serious about it. The strategies are great, but it doesn't change who you need to believe you can be. Now, I typically do not come from a place of saying, hey, you got to, deal with it and level up and man up. No, or grind. No, I'm not saying that. But you have got to do a gut check. You have got to sit back and say, I want this. I want to raise my standards. Why? Why do I want to raise my standards? Because I want that house, because I want the respect, because I want that recognition, because I want it. You have got to get so focused on getting what you want. You have got to understand that in order for you to become this person that you're working towards, or even get in progress, you got to want it. And saying that you want it's just not enough. You have to believe it. I remember when I was trying to play football back in, gosh, my last year of high school. I'm seeing all these guys. They're running out on field. And when I was in high school, I was 5'10". I was like 150, 170, 180 pounds or something like that, wet. I was not a big guy like I am now. And, a bigger guy like I am now. I'm not as big as I used to be. I used to be like 250, solid. Now I'm like 220, 225. Um, but at that time, that was a far cry away. And I'm seeing these guys run out on the field and they're running down the field, and these big guys, these giant guys, in high school. And I just seen them getting laid out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want that. I want that. So I thought I wanted it, right? And, at those times, I wasn't as quite intentional as I am now. So my want for things was kind of, let me just explore, right? You know what I'm talking about. When things are more of a wish list, when things are more of an option for you versus a straight up a must, it wasn't a must for me. It was not. Because when things are a must, you figure out a way to push through. And that's when that gut check kicks in. I did not have that. And you could see it in my intentions and my actions, the way I paid attention, the way I didn't pay attention. You could just see it. And I own that 100%. But let me tell you what happened when things came to a head. I forgot which game it was. It probably a second, third game or something like that. And I was on special teams. And I remember my coach said, "Who can block that kick? Who can block that kick?" And I'm like, "Oh, not me." My coach said, "Yes, Vernon, you can do it." Life chose me. At this time, it was my coach. He chose me, but I didn't want it. So guess what happens when you don't want something, but you say you want it, but you know deep down that you don't want it? We're sitting there, we're playing. I'm gonna get back here and make it real. And then they said hike, and I heard hike, and I'm like, okay, I'm going, and I'm running, 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 running. And I go for the ball, and I tackle the kicker. And then I get rocked by two people, like boom, 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 and I fall on the ground. That was the end of my career. It wasn't for to roughen the kicker. It's because I recognized that I did not want it. And this is what happened to a lot of us. A lot of times, if you aren't sure that you want something, you will go through the motions. Or you will act as if that you want to do it. You might even have the roo roo rah rah positive commitments, positive words, but without any commitment going on because I didn't want it. And in some way, shape, or form, that you all have got to recognize when you want to raise your standards, life is going to hit you in the mouth. It's going to present challenges. But if you don't want it and get really serious about what it is that you want and willing to put in the effort, it's going to show. So, part five is a gut check. You really want this? You're really serious about it? You got to find a way. Get creative, get the support. But you've got to realize things are going to happen that you're not going to expect. I'm not saying they're bad, but don't be surprised. Why? Because it's life. It's not picking on you. It's not trying to say that you deserve this. No, you deserve whatever you go after. There's so much, different beliefs and manifestation being talked about, but at some point, what happens when reality shows up? You've got to want it. This is a gut check, everybody. Do you want it? And if you do, that is wonderful. If you don't, that is wonderful too. Why? Because it saves you time. And if you do want it, we need to make sure that you're getting serious and intentional about it. Make sure your head is in this. Make sure the game is right. The game is one up here, it's not out here. If you want it, have honest moments with it. If you don't, have honest minutes with it. But gut check. This is not about getting tough, it's about getting serious. I know that you can do this. And the big thing about doing this is this: nobody knows. If you want it, great. If you don't, great. You don't have to express it to anybody. But you need to know in your heart of hearts, as they say, that this is something that I'm going to do no matter what. When you develop that must attitude, it's game over. You can't be broken. You can't be beaten. Those guys on the field when I played football, they wanted it. They developed the must attitude. I didn't. It wasn't for me. And I learned then there's a price to pay for faking it till you make it or going through the motions. Pain, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of regret. But that lesson taught me that you need to want it. Raise your standards, get serious about that, and go make life what you want. I'm gonna see y'all next week. Be ready. We got a banging new topic, and if anybody wants to talk live, I'm willing. Would love to start. I'm going to be coaching people live, but I would love if anybody has any questions about something or maybe some topics to expand on. Shoot me a message. Links in the comments down below. Don't forget, Happy Holidays is out now. Get your free copy down. All we're gonna ask is you give us an email. We get it right over to you immediately. It's almost an instant thing. We never spam anything like that. I'm going to see y'all next week. Do everything you can to be happy today.